Greetings, one and all. Earlier today, the Elite Ice Hockey League team owners got together and decided the quarter-final matchups for this season's Challenge Cup playoffs. The selection process followed the new system that was announced several weeks ago, where the top team in each group at the end of the group stages gets to choose who they play against out of the non-group winners for the quarter-final stage of the Challenge Cup playoffs. This meant that the Sheffield Steelers, the Belfast Giants and the Milton Keynes Lightning all got to choose their quarter-final opponents for the two-game aggregate series, with the last matchup out of the four being comprised of the two teams that didn't get picked. Now that the selections have been made, the playoff brackets look like this. So we have the Sheffield Steelers against the Dundee Stars, the Milton Keynes Lightning against the Nottingham Panthers, the Belfast Giants against the Fife Flyers, and the Cardiff Devils against the Guildford Flames. In terms of how I think each of the brackets is going to play out and who I think is going to win each bracket, let's take each bracket one by one and I'll give you my verdict, why I think it's going to happen like this, and who I think is going to win. So we shall start with the Sheffield Steelers and the Dundee Stars series, and I think the Sheffield Steelers will beat the Dundee Stars. Now, there's no surprise that Sheffield picked the weakest opponent out of the lot, especially when the league's chairman, who is also one of the Steelers' high-ups, introduced this pick-your-own-opponent rule to benefit his team the most. Now, I know all of that is rumour, of course, but take from it what you will, ladies and gentlemen. Seems a little bit dodgy, if you ask me. But anyway, more focused on the bracket and the series itself, whilst Dundee is an unpredictable team, and you never quite know who you are going up against when you play them. You could go up against a team that puts 7 goals against you, you could go up against a team that lets you put 7 goals up against them, and you shut them out. Like, they've been incredibly inconsistent this season, and they haven't quite figured out what's going on in Dundee, I think, so far. Now, whilst they are an unpredictable team, they are second from last in the league standings for a reason, because they haven't played very well so far this season. And I don't think the Sheffield Steelers will have too much to worry about when they play them in this series. Sure, the Sheffield Steelers have been showing some of the cracks in their team over the last few weeks. Their defence isn't standing tall enough like they should be, their goaltending has been incredibly inconsistent, and their forwards just sometimes aren't scoring enough goals. It seems like there's a bit of a confidence issue going on in the Sheffield Steelers organisation right now. None of the players seem to me, on the outside, that they think they can win this. I don't think they believe that they can win the Challenge Cup, the playoffs, or the regular season at the moment. I think that might come as the season goes on and the wins start to mount, but I'm not sure there's enough confidence in the Sheffield Steelers lineup, considering they won the playoff finals last year. So, whilst they've shown the cracks in their roster, they are still a very strong team in the league, and they are definitely better than the Dundee Stars on paper and on the ice. So provided the Sheffield Steelers turn up to play this game, I think they will be okay. Now, the question will be, will the Sheffield Steelers turn up to play this game? If they don't, and the Dundee Stars play the best hockey games they've played all season, they will go through to the next round of the Challenge Cup playoffs, when the Sheffield Steelers will be left to watch what happens on television, or via live streams, or via radio. So, I mean, provided the Sheffield Steelers stick to their guns, stick to their game plan and get the job done, I think they will go through and beat the Dundee Stars. Next up, we have the series between the Belfast Giants and the Fife Flyers, and I must admit, I'm not 100% sure on who I think will win this series. Part of me is saying that the Belfast Giants are going to win because they are the more obvious choice. They're the better team overall on paper and on the ice, they're higher up the league standings for a reason because they've played a better game, and they are the higher seed in the Challenge Cup standings, winning their group. However, the other part of me says that the Fife Flyers is a team that could really surprise us and upset the Belfast Giants. And whilst the Fife Flyers aren't the best team in the league by any stretch of the imagination, and they're definitely not the best team compared to them and the Belfast Giants, the Fife Flyers are the sort of team that can really stick it to their opponents and take advantage of another team for underestimating their ability. I must admit I will be keeping a close eye on this bracket, as I'm very interested to see who wins and by how many goals. It's not just a case of who's going to win this 2-game aggregate series, it's a case of by how many goals. Will it be a 3-goal differential? Will it be a 5-goal differential? Will it just be a 1-goal differential? I'm very interested to see how this works, and I think the biggest 2 questions about this is 1, will the luck of the Irish help carry the Giants through? Or 2, will the dark horseness of the Scottish team manage to get them through this series? Time will tell, and I look forward to seeing it unfold. Then penultimately there is the series between the Nottingham Panthers and the Milton Keynes Lightning, and I think the Nottingham Panthers will beat the Milton Keynes Lightning. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, but Odd Man Rush, you're really biased towards the Nottingham Panthers. You're just like the EIHL chairman to the Sheffield Steelers. I know that's fair enough thing to say. However, I think that the calibre of players that the Nottingham Panthers has, it's their series to lose, I think. I think with the talent that the Nottingham Panthers has, it's their series to lose. It's Milton Keynes' series to win, and it's the Nottingham Panthers' series to lose. That's not to say that the Milton Keynes Lightning won't in any way make it easy for the Nottingham Panthers to steamroll over them. I think the Milton Keynes Lightning will make it incredibly difficult for the Nottingham Panthers to win this, and I think there could be one goal in it, aggregate-wise. However, I think Nottingham has a stronger lineup that have proven that they can get the job done when they have needed to, hence them being tied first in the league with 3 or 4 games in hand on the other first team in Belfast. Now, on the flip side, Milton Keynes has also gained a reputation similar to the Guildford Flames for being a tough team to beat, and to me that is where a team's depth and depth players come in. The depth players on a team need to be able to score some big goals, make some big blocks, or win some key face-offs in a game in order to help the star players after the star players have done their bit. Or, if the star players are having an off night, the depth players need to step up and get the job done for them. And whilst, of course, as I said, I'm biased towards the Nottingham Panthers, I think they have the best depth throughout their lineup of any team in the league right now. You can argue with me, that's absolutely fine. But I think if you look at their lineup with Delego, Mokshantsev, Perlini, Sharla, then you have Spang, you have Brisebois, you have Sauve, you have Stevie Lee, you have Garnett, and you have Galbraith. Like, there's so much depth in that team. And we're forgetting long-time guys like David Clark or a Swedish Hockey League alumni in Eric Lindhagen. Like, they have such a deep group of forwards, a deep group of defence, and 2 solid goaltenders on their team that I genuinely think that Nottingham will do absolutely fine out of this, and it's their series to lose. Provided each player does what is needed for the Panthers, I think this will be a clear win for Nottingham over the Lightning. But if the Lightning get under the Panthers' skin and start capitalising on playing their game plan instead, this could be a matchup that goes right down to the final buzzer in the 2-game aggregate series. I'm going to, of course, keep a very close eye on this series, of course being a Panthers fan myself. But I think this is Nottingham's series. The Milton Keynes Lightning will put up a very strong fight and will make it very difficult for Nottingham. But at the end of the day, I think the Panthers will go through. And lastly, we have the series between the Cardiff Devils and the Guildford Flames, and I think this series could go either way between these two teams, as both of these teams have had good games and bad games, and have played to a similar standard so far this season. So I think it all depends on which team decides that they want to win it more than the other as to who I think is going to take the series. Both of these teams have been consistent in some ways, inconsistent in others. Cardiff have had a lot of injuries to deal with. Guildford have basically changed their roster every single game, which is crazy. So it's just trying to figure out which team is going to try and be more consistent in the 2 games between them. Because at the end of the day, it's not a case of regular season record. It's a case of who's the better team over these next 2 days or those 2 games that take place. And it's just trying to figure out which one's going to do it. It's up for grabs, this one, definitely. Whereas, say, with the Sheffield and Dundee series or the Milton Keynes and Nottingham series, both of them, I think there's going to be a clear winner here. Whereas with this one, I think it's completely up for grabs and it's anybody's game so far. Definitely, without a doubt. So, but however, part of me thinks that Guildford could take this series over the Cardiff Devils just because they have gained a reputation similar to the Milton Keynes Lightning of being difficult to play against, and they can steal wins from their opponents when it seemed like they couldn't do it or they shouldn't do it. Add to that the improvements they seem to make to their roster pretty much every single week, and you have a strong team that could upset the Devils and win this series. On the flip side, this could be the sort of series that the Cardiff Devils goaltender Ben Bounds could steal for the Welsh side. Bounds is the best British goaltender around right now, so if he brings his A game, the Guildford Flames are going to find him very tough to beat and very tough to put the puck past. But honestly, this one is difficult to predict the winner, but if I had to choose, I think I'm going to say the Guildford Flames purely because they have beaten the Devils in Challenge Cup games more already in the season, as these two were in the same group and Guildford got more wins against Cardiff than Cardiff got against Guildford. And there you go. Those are the quarter-final matchups for this season's EIHL Challenge Cup playoffs. What do you think about these playoff brackets? Are they good, bad, or do you think the choose your own opponent format is an awful idea? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.